because it's really, really annoying if you're calling people that are not relevant at all. It saves you time, and in the end, because you have a relevant list, you can also make your messaging or your wording relevant for the people who you reach out to. So having lists that are well defined helps you also to be better in pitching to them and talking to them. Because if, for example, you have different industries, if you have one industry, you know, okay, in this industry, I also have my case studies. I know the pain points. I know which solution they are looking for. I can mention references and so on. So it helps you to increase the conversion when doing sales. So what else can you use a good lead list or prospect list? Basically, it's the basis for a lot of outbound activities. So you will use your list and not only for cold calling, but also for cold mails. If you're using LinkedIn automations like Expandy, you will also need to upload a list to reach out to these people. And even in LinkedIn Ads Manager, you can upload lists to directly target the people with your LinkedIn ads. So in LinkedIn, for example, it looks like this. Here, when you're in the Ads Manager, you can choose list upload as an audience criteria and upload directly the URLs of the companies that you want to target, the LinkedIn URLs, and the of your contacts. And this will help you to have a very relevant set of leads who is coming to you, and not a completely broad income of irrelevant leads. The second thing is also for Expandy, which is a LinkedIn automation tool that you also will upload the list, which we will create today, or where I will show you how you can create it. And the same goes for cold mailing and cold calls, but I think this is self-explanatory. So there are different types of lists. It's not that you only can have one long list where there are thousands of emails and phone numbers. You can create lists directly out of your network, which have oftentimes the highest probability to convert to clients, but it's often an overlooked list. So the people, a lot of people start with super fancy approaches to build lists, but forget their own network. We will have a look on this at the beginning. Then I will show you how to build trigger account-based lists. So it means if you see some activity happening in your account, for example, new hire, new funding round, whatever, and interaction-based lists. So somebody commented and so on. And then the classical code list where it's just an overview or a list of all the people in your market that could be relevant for you. So before we dive into it, are there any questions already now, maybe where you have something that is not clear, or where you would like to dive deeper or whatever? Okay, then let's go with the warm list. So why does a warm list work? Basically, with all the people in your warm list, you either have social proof, or, for example, for existing clients, you have already a proof of concept. So, and for some of them, you have both. So if you have a client who likes your work very well, you have proof of concept, and you have social proof as soon as he recommends you to somebody. This means you have the highest trust and such a much higher conversion than as if you would reach out completely cold. So you can build this warm lists even if you don't have any contacts at all. You would start by going to events. You would start making your first connections, and with these people that you got to know at the events, you will have your first intro partners. Otherwise, you can also have intro partners from your previous work experience, from previous projects and whatsoever. Then, as soon as you start having your first clients, you can reach out to companies that are very, very similar to your existing clients. This also is like a warm introduction. And later on, when you see, okay, I'm working for a client, but this client also has a lot of clients that could benefit from my work, you can reach out to their clients if it's okay for them, or if you have a good feeling. And there you also have like a much warmer intro than by just reaching out. So this is something that you can do basically completely manually. It's just a Google Sheet that you set up and you list all the people. And now I will show you some more advanced approaches. So for example, trigger account-based lists. LinkedIn offers a feature which is called LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And in LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you have the possibility to select certain criteria. And then you can say, for example, head of human HR managers that just changed their jobs and are in the current company less than 1 year and are based in the DACH region. Please create a list for all these people. And then you have only people that have a high possibility to have a high intent at this moment because they came new to this company. Maybe they want to do some changes and they might need a tool like Personio or whatsoever. So this is, for example, one approach how you can build a trigger account-based list. I will also show you later how you can automatically update this list. So or I will show it to you now. So basically, you will use Phantom Buster for that. Phantom Buster allows you to scrape all the information that is shown here in Sales Navigator. You just need to copy the URL. I will show you later in detail how it works. Then all the information goes into Google Sheet. And from there, you can connect it, for example, with HubSpot and automatically always update this list. So you don't have to scrape again and again and again. You just click in Phantom Buster, repeat every week or repeat every 3 days or whatsoever, and then it automatically updates your list. There's also the possibility to create lists based on interactions. So Phantom Buster offers these phantoms, which are called, for example, LinkedIn post commenters, LinkedIn post likers, LinkedIn connections export, new people that follow your company. And all these people, they are already showing some kind of intent. So if you're posting relevant content about their pains, about their jobs that they have to do on a day-to-day basis, and they interact with it, it shows, okay, they are much deeper down the funnel than somebody at Yellow Pages. So here you can also automatically scrape all these people, put them into Google Sheets, and from there on to HubSpot. And to do that, you can, for example, use tools like make.com, N8N, there Zapier. There are a lot of different connector tools for that. But this are, as I said, is the more advanced approach. So let's start with the basics by building a cold list. And the methods that we will use are the same methods that you can also use for building interaction-based lists or automatically updated lists. So we'll start very basically. At the beginning, now you have your persona from the business plan, but this doesn't help you to scrape the relevant data from the internet. So we have to create a scrapable persona, which is based exactly on the criteria of the platforms from which you want to scrape. Then we will scrape the data, we will enrich it with the contact information, and then you're ready to start dialing and calling. So first, when you build a list, of course, you have to decide where are the people or the customers that I want to reach out to. And this is a very, very important factor because, for example, if you are you have an influencer marketing agency, it makes much more sense to reach out, for example, on Instagram than on LinkedIn. In this case, it would even make sense for both, but they are super responsive on Instagram. And there you should also build your list. For other things like HR managers, of course, LinkedIn is your go-to source. But I think, Julia, you had a question.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for interrupting. You mentioned the scrapable persona, and what's the difference between persona and scrapable persona?
Yeah, so the persona is often the scrapable persona is just based on the criteria that you can put into LinkedIn, for example, or Google Maps, or the page from which you want to scrape. I will show it to you in detail. 1 second. For example, this one. These are all the criteria that you have on LinkedIn. It looks like this in LinkedIn. So if we would define a scrapable persona, we will define it exactly based on these criteria. So it's much more technical definition of your persona than the business plan persona, which also talks about pains and gains and whatever, which is not relevant for scraping in the end. Okay, so are there any other questions? And Julia, this answered your question basically. Okay, perfect. Nice. Then, yeah, let's say we want to focus on head of HR or HR managers. We would choose LinkedIn. If you are looking for platforms that offer, in general, very good contact data, I can, for example, recommend Dealfront. There you have more than 40 million leads where you directly can see the first name, last name, and so on. I can show it to you maybe. 1 second. I can show it to you here. So for example, in Dealfront, it has more than 40 million or 20 million contacts. And basically you get all the phone numbers, mobile phone numbers, and so on, company number, first name, last name, email address. You know the source, where's the lead coming from, or the data coming from. And these are more general platforms, and they work often very well if you have a persona which is not on LinkedIn, for example, or not on Instagram. For example, real estate managing directors oftentimes are not on these platforms, and 70% of them, for example, have like emails or are using mainly email instead of LinkedIn. So there you would use, for example, Dealfront instead of LinkedIn. But also Lemlist, it's, for example, the cold mailing tool there you can directly get the data and write cold mails from this platform, or Apollo. These are just more general platforms that I would recommend for contact data. So let's focus on LinkedIn. It's the cheapest and easiest one. So based in LinkedIn, you have different possibilities. So you can either select accounts or you can select leads. So accounts are basically company-based and leads are person-based criteria. So we will focus on person-based criteria, lead-based criteria. And here, basically, we would just create our scraper persona. So for example, maybe for Felix, what is your ideal persona? So how many people are working for the companies, maybe on average? Which size of companies are you targeting?
Yeah, for me, it's 200 to 500 employees, because that's also exactly the team which I'm in. So that's already my criteria in there.
Okay, then let's maybe do it live. So we would go here to company headcount, 200 to 500. Which country are you?
Germany.
Germany. Are the companies based in Germany or the people?
Yeah, I would say, well, actually, usually both, but mainly the company also. So even if they would have theoretically a remote head of HR, but the company decides in Germany, is based in Germany, then it would still be okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, and yeah, basically the people are mainly from HR or
Yeah.
which department?
Sometimes IT, but mainly HR. Yeah.
Okay. So for example, this is a very broad search. Now we would have all the people that work in HR for companies that have 200 to 500 employees and are based with their headquarters in Germany. But I think probably for Felix, maybe all are relevant, but maybe the ones who are a little bit more senior, for example, directors or C-level vice president, they might be even more relevant. So to which seniority level are you reaching out mainly?
I would say from senior manager and head of upwards. Depends from company to company, but yeah, that's like the ideal one usually.
Okay, perfect. Then you would, for example, just do it like this. Of course, you can do it a little bit different, but then instead of 21,000, there are 3.5 thousand people that are relevant. And now you can have a look, okay, who of them changed their job in the past? So we go here, and then we only have 200, which is even more relevant. And then you can also say, okay, only the ones that are there less than 1 year or 1 to 2 years or whatever. Then you have 156. So this would be a super relevant list just of a quick search where you could reach out to and say, okay, these are the people that could help me in basically selling Personio. But if you, for example, see people here that are not relevant at all, maybe let's say here Verbandsbeauftragte für Mittelstand, then you can go here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. You click here, Verbandsbeauftragte. You enter the title, it doesn't have to be complete, and then you exclude it. So this makes your search even better. So this is a very, very important step to disqualify your list already at this stage, because afterwards you will flood your CRM with all these people that are not relevant. So before scraping, do a rough exclusion of the titles where you can say they're irrelevant. For me, it always helps me when I know this page, the first page, only shows relevant titles. Then I know the rest of my search will also be good enough. So just try that on the first page, everything is excluded that is not relevant, and then you will have a quite good list to reach out. So yeah, this was now like a live demonstration how you can do it. Otherwise, I think yeah, just keep in mind when you write down your persona, also think about the criteria which are relevant for the platforms where you want to get the leads from, so that yeah, you can directly start building your list. Yeah, moreover, what helps in disqualifying the leads is to know, okay, what are must-haves? What, for example, in my case, I'm helping B2B software as a service companies to set up their outbound sales funnel. So it doesn't make sense for me to reach out to B2C companies. It doesn't make sense if they make less than 1 million euro per year because they are too much in the discovery phase. If they have a super small market, it also doesn't make sense. So they can do it by themselves. They don't need a big outbound sales engine going. And yeah, what are nice to have, for example, what I often see, if the CEO is 40 plus, he's much better to work with, because the CEOs that are much younger, they are so aggressive, they expect so much. So for me, it's a nice to have if he's a little bit older. If they have a consulting background, they oftentimes value consulting also more than if they have never been in the space. And they are more like analytical and know, hey, I know how to build a company from 10 million to 40 million, but you know how to do it from 1 million to 10 million. So yeah, this is how I, for example, I disqualify the people that I reach out to. So in your case, when you build your list, yeah, exclude all the irrelevant titles, exclude all the companies that are not relevant, and so on. So now, how do you get the data that you just saw? So therefore, we will use Phantom Buster. So you can use it completely for free. Maybe they've changed the model and it's not completely for free anymore, but normally they were offering a 40-day free trial. And then you select the Phantom, for example, in this case, Sales Navigator Search Export. I will just show it to you here, what it looks like. So here in Phantom Buster, you have a lot of different options where you can choose from. In this case, we would choose Sales Navigator, and then you have Sales Navigator Search Export. You click here, and then you basically copy this search, which you just created, which is relevant. You paste it here, you click Save, you connect to LinkedIn, you click Save. Let's say now, just for demonstration, we do like 200. Save, then launch manually. If you have a list which should always be updated, you of course click repeatedly, but in this case we just click once, click Save, and then you can click Launch. And I think it will take some seconds or minutes, but then you will get your list. So let's go back here. So we selected Sales Navigator Search Export. We connected to LinkedIn. We copied. You get a session cookie, which is copied. Then you copy the URL. And then you have basically your list where you have all the LinkedIn profile URLs from these people and the phone numbers, but not the email address yet. So let's see, maybe it has already finished. I know it takes some time. So yeah, this is basically the result that you will get from LinkedIn by scraping it with Phantom Buster. And now the next step is that we also find the email address from these people. So Drop Contact, for example, is a tool. I will write it down here in the chat, or I can show it to you. Drop Contact, it allows you to get all the email addresses, but also, for example, Better Contact. It uses Drop Contact, but also different other email providers to give you all the contact data. So this is working even better. But yeah, Drop Contact is very easy. So I will show it with Drop Contact right now. So they claim themselves it's GDPR conform. And then when you upload the file there, it enriches based on the LinkedIn profile URLs. It also gives you the email addresses of these people. So let's have a look. Maybe it's here. I think we can see it already. Okay, here basically it now gave us all the information. We can also download it as a CSV. And this CSV, after we have downloaded it, we would just go to Drop Contact or Better Contact. We will upload it here. And then you basically get the list with all the email addresses. And for Better Contact, you also get all the phone numbers and so on. But even if you don't have the phone number in this list, you can, for example, use surf.com. And with surf.com, you can go on the LinkedIn profile of the person and enrich. And when you click on them, you will directly get the email address and phone number and so on. And the other tool which you can also use is like Lucia. This one also directly gives you the phone number, email address of the people that you're interested in LinkedIn. So this is basically the workflow. So yeah, so any questions from your side? This basically is how I would generate a list from A to Z. And if you want, we can do now some live list building. So if you have a list where you say, hey, please create this list or whatsoever, we can do it together, and I can show you how I would approach it, basically. Yes, Julia, I think you had a question.
Yeah, thank you. So you showed us the way how the list could be updated, but if I may ask, what the workflow would be. So let's imagine we have 100 people in our list. We are working with them, and then we have an update with 20 more prospects. So what would you do? So you see that there are updates. Will you download like a separate list? You can filter those new found leads. So could you please elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah. So you would basically have one Google Sheet, and in this Google Sheet, every time a new action happens, a new row would be added. And from this Google Sheet, if you want, you can also connect it to your CRM, to HubSpot, for example. And in HubSpot, automatically it tells you whether you have already reached out to someone or not. So in HubSpot, you have the possibility to filter, has already some action happened or not. So you can create your own lists. And one list based on the filtering would show you a list where no action has happened yet. So this is the list where you can newly reach out, completely fresh.
Thank you. Thank you. It answers the question.
Great. So yeah, Romy, should we maybe create a list live for you, or do you have any questions? Or Nicholas?
No particular questions, but we can do that, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Sure. Then let's do it. So maybe let's start in this case with Dealfront, and then later we will do also LinkedIn. So what are the companies that you are already working with at the moment? I think you already mentioned them, but I think Moxie or something like this.
Mox, MOXZ. Or how was it, Nicholas?
Yeah.
Like this?
Let me look it up.
Or just send it in the chat.
The second one. The second one.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah.
Ah, perfect. Okay, nice. So let's select two more, and then I can show you how I would approach it. If you have maybe two more companies,
yeah,
that are maybe similar to Mox, this would be very nice.
Similar to Mox. Then Biotrust, also Bio, THRUST.
THMUST.
No, Trust, THRUST.
Ah, Trust. Ah, okay, okay. Biotrust, okay, nice. Hier noch einer?
Similar.